One of the hallmarks of Anderson shows is the very positive approach that Dad chose to take in his storytelling. And that's something, actually, which we're learning a lot more about in the process of the documentary. So more on that when we can see Gerry Anderson Life Uncharted next year.
Yeah.
There were some shows, however, that took a darker turn, like Captain Scarlet, UFO, and of course, most frighteningly of all, Torchy the Battery Boy. But by and large, Anderson shows avoided the pessimistic tone that was commonplace in science fiction at the time. One such Debbie Downer was a forgotten flick called ZPG, although it was probably ZPG, wasn't it?
ZPG?
But I'm going to go super anglicised and say ZPG for the purpose of this.
Okay.
So, what does ZPG stand for, you might ask?
Well, that was the question on the tip of my tongue.
Well, Richard, if you watched the film in theatres in 1972, you'd have to wait to the end to find out. But today we've got Google. So a quick Google search reveals that the answer is zero population growth.
Right, sounds thrilling.
As the title suggests, ZPG paints a rosy picture of the future where overpopulation has become so commonplace that to give birth is a capital crime.
It has a laugh a minute.
Don't laugh. One couple, played by the talented Oliver Reed and Geraldine Chaplin, decide to try and fight the system. And the results are, spoiler alert, actually kind of okay.
Hey?
Our heroes lived happily ever after, but the film did not. Although remembered by a few enthusiasts and now us here on the FAB Fact, it mostly resides in obscurity.
Right.
However, there is one distinguishing factor about ZPG that merits its inclusion in this book of Fab Facts.
Yeah, I wondered when we get round to it.
Yeah, if we got there eventually. It is the first production to feature the talents of Derek Meddings after his departure from Century 21.
Oh.
That's right, the legendary designer of such vehicles as Thunderbird 2 didn't jump straight into James Bond, Superman and all that glitzy fare. Instead, his first job, independent of his old bosses, was this low-budget production.
Right.
To be fair, Derek does a great job creating some very cool miniatures in this sort of smoggy version of the future. A vehicle that conveys the deadly extermination chambers.
Right.
Bears a resemblance to the helijets of the Supermarionation era. There's even the voice of Shane Rimmer playing over a loudspeaker.
Ah, great.
Some sources credit Derek with the creation of some terrifying electronic babies that are handed out to pacify would-be parents. That's sinister, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit.
We can't be sure if Derek created these, but the miniatures and other effects have a clear Meddings style and could have been outtakes from a much darker version of UFO.
A much darker version of UFO.
Yeah, even darker than dark, yeah.
Wow.
As for Derek, he would soon be hired to work on Live and Let Die, and the rest, as they say, is history. So, do you remember ZPG or ZPG? Do you know more about the Anderson connections of this obscure production? If so, please do email us. We'd love to hear from you. podcast@gerryanderson.com.
Wow. Can it be seen? Is it on YouTube, dare we ask?
Well, I don't know that. I haven't got all the answers, mate. I've just got a book here.
Right. Oh, I see. Yeah, fair enough. Well, I'll have a look then. I'll find out myself.
Yeah. Have a look. Have a look. See. I mean, it does. It sounds like a sort of cult plot of a Space Precinct episode to me.
Oh, yes, doesn't it? Yes, you're right. But also mixed with, I don't know if you remember, I think 1970s movie Logan's Run with, was it Simon McCorkindale? Why do I want to say that? It might have been.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe.
And Jenny Agutter is what most people remember it for.
Oh, yes.
Again, a pretty sort of dystopian idea in that I think once people hit 30 in this futuristic society, they're essentially euthanized as they're considered not to be of any further use.
Yeah, how cheery.